Thank you very much. It's very nice to be here. Thank you very much to the conference organisers for having me. I have the very difficult task of presenting Grangex, and especially Sydvaranger, in only 15 minutes, but I will try my best. Firstly, two very quick apologies. The first one is this will indeed be in English. My Swedish, unfortunately, is completely rubbish. And secondly, apologies for not being there in person, but as you can hopefully see, all of us are currently in Kirkenes at the mine site itself. So let's dive straight into Grangex and Sydvaranger, and happy to take questions at the end. I know what the questions are going to be. I have received a barrage of emails and messages from our existing shareholders, and I will try my best to give some comfort towards the end of the presentation. Firstly, legal disclaimer: we are a public listed company, but clearly there is no inside information in this presentation. So let's dive straight into it. I'm going to present very quickly Grangex and then Sydvaranger. This is a very short summary presentation. You will find the detailed 50-60 page presentation on our website. I would encourage everybody to read it. But let's talk about Sydvaranger. We bought Sydvaranger, a mine in Norway, in May of 2024. Why did we do that in the middle of a huge mining boom in copper and gold and silver and everything else? We bought it for one very simple reason. The steel industry has been, for the last decades and centuries, a very good proxy for GDP growth. It will continue to be so. There is no substitution for steel. The car you drive, the building that you work in, the bridge that you cross are all made of steel. Those cannot be made with carbon fiber. And so the steel industry is going to carry on growing at a very decent rate for the next several generations. However, there is a huge problem in the steel industry, and that is that it is one of the most polluting industries on the planet. And on a per capita basis, it is actually the most polluting. So whilst I think everybody who drives a Tesla, has solar panels, etc., is doing a wonderful job, the reality is the biggest impact humans can make on the planet today is to fix the steel industry. And that's very, very simple to do. You have to stop using blast furnaces and continue the development and increasing use of electric arc furnaces. It's an existing technology. Over 30% of the steel in the world today is made from using electric arc furnaces, but it requires a very specific type of feed. That is direct reduction iron ore. And those assets are very rare. In Europe, there are only 2 DR grade iron ore projects which have the ability to be brought into production, and we own them both. The first one is Sydvaranger in northern Norway and Dannemora in southern Sweden. We're very proud of both of these assets. So as a company, we have for our shareholders a very straightforward equity plan or a roadmap. A lot of junior mining companies are what we call one asset wonders. We have already 2 projects. We will bring Sydvaranger into production this year. We will be cash flow producing this year. We will be operational. We will then bring Sydvaranger phase 2 into operation, and then Dannemora. That will provide a significant re-rating of the stock as Sydvaranger is brought into operation, and then the continued increase as we bring Dannemora and phase 2. As a company, we're very proud of the board of directors that we have. We have the who's who of the Nordic mining industry on our board. There's a joke in the industry: you need to have grey hair or no hair to sit on the board of a junior mining industry company, and we have that in abundance. We are very blessed with the management team that we have been able to put together. These are senior individuals who left very stable jobs in large mining companies to join us, but not only join us, but join us at the riskiest point in our development when we had just bought Sydvaranger. So the team has been there from the get-go. It is a team that has worked together. It is a team that has taken the asset from what it was back in May of 2024 to now being on the cusp of being brought back into operation. Krista, our CEO, is the founder. He's the largest shareholder. That DNA runs across the entire management team, so all of us are shareholders in the company. We are, though, very clear that Sydvaranger is a Norwegian asset. It needs to be run from Norway. So we already have our senior operational leadership team in place. If you look on the left, bottom left, you'll see all of our key operational positions are filled. We will operate Sydvaranger from Kirkenes, where we will be the largest employer in the whole of Eastern Finnmark. We will create high-quality, multi-generational jobs, and we will have our employees become part of the community. We will not be a fly-in, fly-out type of an operation. When we opened our employment recruitment portal in 2025, we were amazed to have over 600 applications, which is way more than we need for the restart of the operation. And we look forward to the continued support from the local communities and to really being part of the future development of Eastern Finnmark. The one thing that we are extremely proud of as a company is our relationship, a long-term strategic partnership with Anglo, the FTSE 100 mining company, one of the most prestigious mining companies in the world. They have been our partner from before we even bought Sydvaranger. That's because they understand what we do, how we do it, what our philosophy is. And as they use the phrase, we are very much joint at the hip. Since that relationship started, they have provided to us $42 million of cash financing, all of which has been non-dilutive. So we have not had to sell a single share of either Grangex or Sydvaranger to Anglo. They have the option to participate in the Sydvaranger project as a debt financer, but also, and very importantly, they are the 100% life of mine volume off-taker from the project. The question we are asked is, are we confident we can sell the material that we produce? The answer is, we have already done so. For the next 25 years, we are sold out. The value of that contract, according to the definitive feasibility study, is close to $9 billion US, one of the largest mining contracts ever signed, especially here in the Nordics. The reason Anglo is partnering with us is very, very simple. As I said, direct reduction grade iron ore projects are extremely rare in the world. Only 4% of the current annual production of iron ore globally qualifies as being direct reduction grade. DR grade iron ore is not high-grade iron ore. That is a label which people use for the various products in the market today, but DR grade iron ore lives in a very unique box, the green box that you see here. Yes, we will have one of the highest iron contents of any production globally on the planet, but importantly, the deleterious, the bad elements in our material are below the magic 3%. You either are DR grade or you are not. You cannot cheat billions of years of geology, metallurgy, mineralogy. The red big bubbles here that you see are the lower grade iron ore being shipped typically from Brazil and Australia into China. We will not compete with that. We will be in a very different industry, different pricing, different customers, and it is a product that Anglo is very, very keen to have in their portfolio and to sell to their existing customer base. As I mentioned, though, and you should always hold me to my word, I did mention that one of the biggest impacts we can make in the world is to fix the steel industry. And to put this into context, by bringing Sydvaranger, which will be the largest mine in Norway, one of the largest mines in Europe, which will be an iron ore mine, into production, we will save over 75 million tons of CO2 emissions over our life. That's equivalent to over 7% of Norway's current annual CO2 emissions. There is not a gigafactory or a renewables project on the planet that has that kind of an overall sovereign impact. And that assumes that our product goes into electric arc furnaces fed by natural gas. If we then very quickly run through Sydvaranger, not only are we in the right product at the right time, even a couple of weeks ago, ArcelorMittal announced, one of the largest steel companies, they're spending $1.5 billion on the construction of a new electric arc furnace in Europe. But we have an asset which is located in Norway, one of the wealthiest and safest jurisdictions on the planet. But also, this is not a recommissioning of an asset, it is a simple restart. So we have the best product in the market, a 25-year mine life with extension potential. We have the best infrastructure in the world. We are fully permitted to restart our operations tomorrow. We have very strong regional support, and Anglo American as our life of mine commercial partner. We have just announced a contract with Aktiedagarna, who, and I am a Finn, I'm very proud to say they are a Finnish company, one of the best mining contractors in the Nordic regions. And because we are restarting an asset, we have very low capex. And as mentioned, we will be in production in 2026 with cash flow and profitability this year. As mentioned, the asset is a restart. It is not a recommissioning. We're very lucky that this asset is one of the oldest in the Nordics. It produced from 1910 onwards until 2015. So all of the assets that we require are already located on site. You will see down here our southern mining area where we will commence operations. We will feed our primary crusher, which is located just here. We will move the material via our own dedicated railway, which we own, to our process plant located in Kirkenes, where we will process the material and ship from our dedicated jetty located here in Kirkenes. It means that, again, as mentioned, we're very lucky in having all of the existing infrastructure in place. We do not need a long lead time. We're able to be in production this year, utilizing the equipment that is already installed. As mentioned, we completed our definitive feasibility study towards the end of 2025. As a Swedish listed company, we did not need to use the Canadian mining standard, but we chose to do so, the National Instrument 43101. It is the strictest mining code on the planet. It means that every number, every piece of analysis is independent. These are not management estimates. And as confirmed, we have a pre-tax NPV over 1.5 billion, a pre-tax IRR close to 40%. We will produce for 25 years a 70%, but very importantly, a DR grade product. And if you look at the graph on the bottom right-hand side, you will see we have the potential for very, very significant profitability. Our aim is to be a cash machine, to produce significant cash flow and to dividend that out for generations to our shareholders. As mentioned, one of our key steps has been to execute a contract with Aktiedagarna. That was the final piece in the puzzle before we could start fundraising. They bring an operating experience, having worked for over 60 years with the leading mining companies in the Nordic region. You can see the who's who in the presentation that they have worked with. But more importantly, they bring their own mining fleet, their own equipment, and they will de-risk the restart and the operation of the asset significantly as we start producing. To summarize, therefore, as mentioned, we will be closing our financing imminently, and I'm sure I will get a lot of questions around that process very shortly. That means we will be in production by the end of 2026. The very first shipment that leaves Kirkenes will generate a operating cash profit for us. From there, we're able to move into our phase 2 whenever we want to bring that phase 2 into operation. But on a life of mine basis, we look to generate close to $9 billion of revenue, production volumes of over 60 million tons of what I call the Premier League of the DR grade material that will be used to feed the overall global transition as the steel industry looks to continue moving towards electric arc furnace production. I should say, and I will finish by saying, that the team has, since acquiring the asset in 2024, has worked tirelessly. We continue to work tirelessly. We are getting extremely close to a position of being able to make some very nice announcements. I appreciate the patience of our existing shareholders, but hopefully some of that patience has already been rewarded. We have seen our share price increase by over 500% since we acquired Sydvaranger. And from our perspective, speaking not only as a member of the management team, but also as a shareholder myself, we believe that that is only the start. So we very much look forward to the continued journey. Have to say a big thank you to our existing shareholders. As I said, I do receive a number of messages, which thus far I unfortunately have not been able to answer. You will appreciate sometimes why, and hopefully look forward to welcoming more shareholders to the register as well. That has to be a record for me, having presented the company in less than 20 minutes, but maybe I stop there and happy to take any questions that anybody may have. And also I will ask myself the first question, which I know you will receive, and that is, what is the update with regards to the project financing? As mentioned, we are currently in a project financing process. We have made that public announcement. I will say with a smile on my face, I wish I could say more, but I can't. But rest assured, we are doing everything humanly possible to make sure we can make certain announcements very, very quickly. So just bear with us a little bit longer. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jan-Erik. I think we could start with, if you could please explain, for those who are not experts in the project financing, could you explain like the key differences compared to a more traditional corporate financing?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you look at a corporate financing, typically you have a very large number of banks and other credit institutions globally, and especially here in the Nordics, who provide financing to companies that are already operating. Those facilities are usually structured based on the underlying profitability of the company, the future projections, and the historic performance. And this is very typical in the mining sector, we have for years been a non-cash flow producing company, but we will have a very, very significant step up as we get into production. So the financing that we are currently putting in place is from institutions, from investors who really look for that major step as companies go from development into operation. Once we are in operation, of course, we have the ability to then source more traditional forms of financing. We have publicly disclosed that we are considering the issue of a Nordic law bond, and that is something the process is very much ongoing.
All right, thank you. And this Sydvaranger project requires significant initial investment. How would you say how sensitive the project is to economics, to like changes in iron ore prices?
From our perspective, as you can imagine, this asset has been due diligence backwards and forwards, back tested. It has undergone some very significant recent processes around the DFS. So we have tested the business from a price perspective, from delays, from operations, from every single risk perspective. Given our very low forecast operating costs, given that we are not in the general iron ore market, we will be supplying a very different universe of a very different product. We have, I would say, one of the most robust projects within the iron ore sector. So even if there were to be, which clearly we don't believe so, if there were to be some crazy price shocks in our sector, we would be very resilient through those various cycles.
Thank you. And thinking about once production starts in Sydvaranger, what will the ramp up look like before you would reach full capacity?
Given that most mining projects are greenfield, that means you are building all of the equipment. This is a simple restart. So once we declare FID, our final investment decision, we will immediately commence the mining. And as mentioned, we will have our first commercial shipment leaving our jetty in Kirkenes by the end of this year, so in 2026. And we will already have reached our steady state production capacity and production by Q1 2027, i.e. less than 12 months from today. So we have a very, very short ramp up schedule.
Good. And what do you see as the largest operational risk during this startup phase?
Most mining companies at this stage of development, they have a risk register. Usually it's color-coded like traffic lights. There's the reds, the ambers and the greens. We don't have anything red. We have no binary risk. Most mining companies today, when they're looking at assets like this, they have a permitting issue. You either get the permit or you don't. Your technology works or it doesn't. We have no binary risk. Of course, we have the usual operational risks. Can we achieve the right volume? Can we achieve the right cost structure? Can we achieve the right pricing? But this isn't, to use the American phrase, this isn't our first rodeo. This team has built and operated a number of mines before. We have built in significant contingencies into our operational plans. And the question that I get asked a lot of the time is what keeps me awake at night? And my answer is I sleep like a baby. That's the best way I can put it.
Thanks. And I'm thinking about, are you seeing any impact from the fact that several green steel projects have recently been put to hold, particularly in Europe?
No, not at all. So if you look at the global iron ore sector, last year there was 1.6 billion tons of iron ore, which was shipped around the world. 4% of that is DR grade, and we will be bringing between 2.5 to 3.5 million tons into the market. We are the proverbial drop in the Atlantic Ocean. So from our perspective, and as mentioned, our sales are already guaranteed. So even if the world stops tomorrow, we have forward sold 25 years of our production to Anglo American. We have no market risk. And right now, the developments which are ongoing in Europe for us are only upside. We do not need a single new steel plant to be built in the world for our business plan to be achieved.
And regarding the agreement, you have an offtake agreement with Anglo American for the entire production for the entire lifetime. How robust would you say this agreement is?
Having spent, if I can make a slight joke and say, if I showed you the legal bills, I think everybody could convince themselves that it is extremely robust. It is like an old-fashioned telephone book. From my perspective, it is as watertight as it can be in this industry. And I think more importantly, if you look at Anglo American, they are not just an off-taker for us. They have contributed $42 million to us. They will continue to be our big brother. They have provided significant technical assistance and will continue to do so. So we look at Anglo American not just as a commercial off-taker. We have their permission and we do call them our long-term strategic partner, and that is how they also look at us.
Thank you. I'm sorry to tell you, but time is up. Thank you.
Thank you.